Good morning and welcome everyone. In this training, we want to talk about custom automation solutions that can help you automate your first-party data integrations into your Google Ads and GMP platforms. We will also have a walkthrough of one of those open source automation solutions to help you see how an end-to-end setup is done. My name is Janet Wellner. I'm a partner engagement manager here in Google, working on technical roadmaps with our partners. And I'm presenting today with my colleagues. Over to you for an intro.
Hello, everyone. I'm Álvaro. I'm an engineer here from the Brazil office. Nice to see you.
Hi, I'm Antonio. I work with Álvaro here in Brazil. I'm an engineer too.
In the agenda, we have 4 points for you today. We will go over an introduction to first-party data automation solutions. We will look at the implementation of an end-to-end automation solution, and we will also have an interview with our solution experts. We will be closing this training with a Q&A session, so get ready to submit your questions. Let's have a look at why automation solutions for first-party data integrations can be of interest for you. Every interaction with customers provides an opportunity. First-party data is unique to your business, and it's data that you own and collect with direct consent from your consumers. These data come from interactions like someone visited you online, phoned your call center, or visited you in store. Your data can create additional value. Your first-party data is the best information you have on customers. When used responsibly, first-party data helps brands build direct relationships with their customers, create value, and boost advertising performance. You can achieve more efficient reach or reach new people. For example, you can use what you know about your customers to reach them with the right message. You can exclude current customers to only reach new ones. And you can leverage your data to reach users similar to your customers. To build a connected system and using data from interactions can lead to an average cost saving of 30% and an average higher revenue of 20%. Google platforms can help advertisers to incorporate these first-party data in different ways today. In Google Analytics, Google Ads, or Campaign Manager, you can integrate or upload offline conversions to get a better understanding of your true ROAS. With Customer Match in Google Ads, you can use first-party data to remarket to relevant audiences. And in Data Studio, Google Analytics, and Google Ads, you can illustrate and get a better understanding of your audience behavior. Today, we want to take a closer look at integrating first-party data that is owned by the marketer, collected from online and offline customer activity. And while our products provide a great opportunity to integrate all kinds of first-party data, as a partner or agency or big client that you integrate these data at large scale and over the long term, the available options might perhaps not be good enough. Due to uploading this data manually, as it takes time and is error prone, or once you automate, and when looking at or into automation, there are about 10 different APIs that require development work with authentications and protocols. Plus, to get the most out of your first-party data, timing is also everything. For bidding optimization, it is recommended to link your data on a daily basis. And 85% of remarketing campaigns effect is felt within the first 4 days. So timing really matters. Hence, automating the data upload process is a key success factor for better advertising and remarketing performance. Therefore, to help you overcome those challenges, we want to introduce you today to some of our custom automation solutions that can help you. So let's learn more. There are especially 4 first-party data integration solutions that automate a data pipeline of offline transaction data, online behavior data, or predicted values in order to drive activation through advanced bidding or audiences. All 4 custom solutions can also be found on the Enterprise Marketing Portal, together with a solution brief and further material, as well as the link to GitHub. Solution number 1 is Tentacles. Solution number 2, called Tagless CRM, and solution number 3, called Megalista, also the solution we will show you in more detail later on. And then there's solution number 4, CRM Mint. As all solutions can help you across the upload process of your data, let's have a look to understand a bit more of the details and when it makes sense to consider one over the other. As you can see from this graph, they vary in terms of accessibility and potential, especially when it comes to API connectivity and infrastructure needed, as we will see in a bit. So let's go through some details. Tentacles can be deployed to bring data to Google Ads for customer match or offline conversions gClit based. It can also bring data to SA360 for offline conversion uploads or business data uploads through SFTP. The current solution does not have the trafficking API included yet, but it can be added. Tentacles can also expand it to work and connect with the Campaign Manager Conversion API, the GA4 Measurement Protocol, Google Analytics Measurement Protocol, Google Analytics Measurement API for data import, as well as Google Ads conversion scheduled uploads via Google Sheet. And no Ads developer token is required. Second, let's look at Tagless CRM. Tagless CRM is an end-to-end data pipeline package that brings data to Google Ads for customer match, offline conversions, gClit based, and to app conversion API. It can also be extended to connect with Campaign Manager Conversion API and Google Analytics Measurement Protocol. Our third solution, Megalista, has been deployed to bring data into Google Ads for customer match, offline conversions, gClit based, store sales direct, and enhanced conversions. It can be expanded to connect with Campaign Manager Conversion API, the Google Analytics Measurement Protocol, Google Analytics Measurement API, and GA Measurement Protocol, as well as AppsFlyer server to server. And finally, CRM Mint has been deployed to bring in data for customer match and app conversion API. It can also connect to Google Analytics, GA audiences management, data ingestion using GA reporting API, BigQuery, cloud storage, AI platform, AutoML tables, and BigQuery ML. To sum it up for you and make it a bit easier to digest, we highlighted here the USP and infrastructure. So again, Tentacles is a component. It has no UI and sends the data to GMP or Google Ads, no matter the volume of data. It can access any external system where your data is stored, and it is built with cloud functions, PubSub, Firestore, Data Store, and cloud storage. It should be low cost as it is built on pure serverless infrastructure. Tagless CRM is, as mentioned, an end-to-end data pipeline package built on top of Cloud Composer and Apache Airflow. It has a UI and does the error handling for you with an automatic retry. The third solution, Megalista, can be configured through a spreadsheet and is a data integration platform that imports the data from various sources, as audience lists or offline conversions and keep them automatically updated. It is built on Dataflow, BigQuery, Cloud Scheduler, Cloud Storage, and at least one of them, Google Analytics, Google Ads, Campaign Manager, API. And finally, CRM Mint is our general purpose ETL tool with a UI. It is easily extensible software framework and built on GCP project and App Engine. The technical complexity should be rather low with Tentacles and Megalista, and medium for Tagless CRM and CRM Mint. We also summarize the API connectivity here for you, and we'll share this with the deck afterwards. We also built a decision tree for you to help you assess a solution based on the infrastructure. So you normally start with the question, where is your data? If you have your data on the Google Cloud, then you need to ask yourself, are you already using Google Cloud Composer? If no, do you require enterprise-grade error handling? If no, then are you sending store direct sales or app conversions? If yes, use Megalista. If no, the next question to ask is, do you require UI? If you don't require a UI, you can probably best use Tentacles, or if you do require an UI, CRM Mint would be a good solution. Also, if you require enterprise-grade error handling, then you would go towards Tagless CRM. Now, if you have your data elsewhere, you can ask yourself the question, can you move your data to Google Cloud? If yes, then follow the first flow that we just walked through. And if no, next question would be, do you require enterprise-grade error handling? If no, are you sending store direct sales or app conversions? Then CRM Mint would be a good solution. If you do require enterprise-grade error handling in that case, then another custom solution must be probably found or built. So this was a lot of info, but we'll share all of this with you afterwards as well. So from here, let's now go into some hands-on deep dive of one of our solution, Megalista. Over to Alvaro and Antonio.
So can you get back to the slides, please? Yeah, thank you. So next slide, please, Janet. So going a little bit more on detail on Megalista, how it works, its architecture, and why we did it. So starting with the goals on why we did it and what was the main objectives doing it. So Megalista is a solution thought to be used by clients without access to IT and with low GCP budgets. So designed to be simple, automated, inexpensive, flexible, and scalable. So the solution had the lowest cost possible to implement and operate, while being possible to be extended without having to make any change to the code and dealing the least with Google Cloud. We also have made Megalista available in GitHub recently, so the code can be cloned, modified, and extended by anyone. Next slide, please. Oh, great. So this is an overview of the flow of the data of a pipeline using Megalista. The first part of setting up a pipeline for Megalista is a data discovery and uploading client data into BigQuery, which is a step that clients often struggle with, and partners' expertise is usually very helpful in the situation. Once the data is stored in BigQuery, Megalista works by loading this data into marketing analytics platforms, such as Google Ads and Google Analytics. It does so using the best practices in the usage of our APIs, being the error handling, batching, and parameterization in general. Megalista is also very flexible and easy to expand the upload pipeline. It's currently receiving updates to new API versions and having new integrations implemented, being by us or by external commits to GitHub. you are welcome to access the GitHub repository and to contribute to it as well. We have received some contributions from partners. Now, we'll go over the main components that we chose to be using for this solution. For our storage choice was first, our storage choice was BigQuery, because it was easy to use, could handle multi-million row tables, and was already home to Google Ads, Analytics, and Firebase exports. So many of our clients are already familiar with it. It also has a generous free tier, so it's low cost for daily or weekly querying. Next, Dataflow, which is built on top of Apache Beam. We chose it because it could easily handle lots of data, had SDK for many languages, and active support, and it's easy to develop and test locally. It can be used in streaming and batch mode. Megalista currently uses batch, so it keeps the cost the lowest possible. It's also very easily started via Cloud Scheduler. So now we'll have a quick demo of a deployment of Megalista in Google Cloud, and after that, a demo how to activate your first user case with Customer Mesh. Okay. Alvaro, you are on mute.
Yeah. Hey everyone, I'm going to talk over this demonstration while Antonio handles the execution of the commands. So we're going to start the demonstration of the deployment process. Please keep in mind that this installation process will only need to be done once. And after that, all configuration is going to happen on the spreadsheet. Most of the deployment works is done here on the GCP screen. The first thing that we need to do is configure an OAuth consent screen. To do that, go over in the menu on the top left corner, click on API and Services, and then go over OAuth consent screen. This consent screen is used so you can generate the required authentication tokens. You can put it as internal, as it's going to be used by your customer. And here on the next screen, you need to provide a name that you remember, which is, and provide an email for developer and contact info. On the next screen, we don't require any additional scopes, so you can just confirm and have your screen set up. After that, the next step is creating some credentials for our APIs. We will go to credentials. Here we will create an OAuth pair. So click on create credentials of client ID. Its type should be desktop application, and you can name it whatever you want. Here you have the client ID and client secrets that we will be using in the next steps of the installation. So please copy those into a notepad and keep them handy for the next steps. Next, to use Cloud Scheduler, we are going to need to activate App Engine. Please keep in mind that we won't have an App Engine application running in this project, but we do need to select its region for Cloud Scheduler to work, so we're going to do that now. Just choose whatever region is best for your customer. While we wait for this to set up, we're going over to Cloud Shell to clone the code. It's on the top right corner of the GCP interface. We can click on Cloud Shell to provision a Linux VM so we can run commands. Okay, now we have the machine provision. The first step here is to get the code into this VM. For that, we can head over to GitHub to check the URL for the repository. There on the green button, you can copy the URL. And then back on Cloud Shell, just git clone the folder. Right, so now we have the codes. We can go into its folder. Here we have lots of scripts that we're going to go over then. The first one that we need to execute is the generate Megalista token script, which will build for us the required tokens for authorizations in the APIs. To use it, you will need the client ID and the client secret that we have just copied. This command is going to provide an URL for the authentication flow. If the person doing the deployment on GCP is not the same person that has the access to Google Ads or Google Analytics or Campaign Manager, depending on what integrations you are planning to use, you can just send this link over to the person that actually has the accesses, so it completes the authentication flow. Antonio is going to log in with his account and give the proper permissions that we need. After completing this, we will get a code that we need to copy back in Cloud Shell. Here, we will get an access token and a refresh token that are the actual OAuth tokens that we're going to use. Please copy both of these values along with the client ID and client secret that you have copied previously. Next up, we're going to execute Terraform. Terraform is an infrastructure tool that's going to build all the required infrastructure that we need in the GCP project for running Megalista. This tool will ask for lots of parameters when we're executing it. And we're going to go over them one by one. Right, so first is the access token. This is the one that we just copied. Next up is a BigQuery dataset. This is going to be used for some temporary data that Megalista holds. So you can put whatever name you like, and Terraform will create this dataset for us. Next up, a cloud storage bucket name, same thing. Terraform is going to create this to hold temporary data, so give an appropriate name for it. Now, next up, the client ID and client secret that are the same that we have used previously. This developer token is the Google Ads API developer token. If you're planning on integrating with Google Ads, you're going to need this. For this demonstration, we will do this, so we provide the token. The refresh token we have also copied before. And finally, Megalista provides 3 configuration options. You can either have Firestore, a JSON file, or the spreadsheet. In this demonstration today, we will be using the spreadsheet, so we will leave both the Firestore and the JSON blank and provide the ID for the spreadsheet. For the spreadsheet, we can head back to GitHub. In the README file there, we have a link to the sample configuration spreadsheet. You can just access it normally. And now in the sample, we're going to just create a copy so we can edit it. Right, so here we have the configuration for Megalista. As we're going to use Google Ads integration, we need to go down below and configure the ID of the account that we're going to upload the audiences in. We do that by filling the spreadsheet, as Antonio is going to do now. If you're using other integrations, please fill in the other IDs down below, but you only need to set up the ones that you're going to use. Now, in the URL for this page, you can easily see the ID for the spreadsheet, which is the parameter that Terraform is waiting for. All right, so now Terraform is going to start provisioning all the infrastructure that we need for this project. It's going to enable all the APIs that we need for Campaign Manager, Google Ads, the spreadsheet API so it can read the configuration. It's also going to create the BigQuery dataset that we have provided the name for, the bucket. It's also going to generate the binary for Megalista and upload it to cloud storage. And it's going to set up the cloud scheduler and data flow to be ready. This usually takes around a minute or a minute and a half, so it shouldn't take that long. For Cloud Scheduler, our Terraform creates it daily. It creates a daily schedule of the job. So we'll go over on how to change that later, but it's also going to be provisioned in this part of this installation process. Right, so now all the deployment is done. Let's go over some of the components that were created. First, we'll go to cloud storage. Here we can see the new bucket that was created. And if you go inside of it, you will see a templates folder, which contains Megalista binary and some parameter metadata. Next up, we're going to BigQuery to see our new data set. As you can see, we have the data set created here, but it's empty because we haven't run anything yet, but it's there. Finally, the Cloud Scheduler. That is the scheduling tool that will actually execute the job periodically. Here you can see that the job has been created. We can edit it as we like. In the first part up there, we have the frequency. Here you can see that it's scheduled for midnight every day, but you can change it for weekly or twice a day, depending on the requirements of your customer. Down below, we have the target. Here you can take a look at the body of the request. We will have all the configuration info that we provided Terraform, the access tokens, the URL for the spreadsheet. So if any of these changes, you can edit it in this screen to make it work. All right, so now we have assured that every component is here and working. So we're going to go over the demonstration of the usage of the solution. Keep in mind that all that we've done until this point is just the installation process. It's only need to be done once, or each time you're going to update the code from Megalista. So to actually use it, we're just going the next few steps. So the first step to do this integration is to get some users that we wish to turn into an audience. For a real customer deployment, you would ask them to provide you with a sample of their customers or the actual segment that they want to turn into an audience. But for this demonstration today, we'll just create some placeholder data on BigQuery. So let's go over there and do that now. We are going to execute a script that creates some placeholder emails and use that as data. For each of our uploaders and each of our integrations with our marketing platforms, there are different requirements on what the schema for these tables are, and you can check all this information in the wikis on GitHub. Here you can see each of the integrations and what's the required data. Right, so now that we have our table, let's go over back to the configuration spreadsheet. Here, down below, we have some tabs. The first one that we need to go is the Sources tab. In this one, we will configure the source of our data. The first column, source name, is just a reference name for the spreadsheet, so name it anything that you will remember later. For type, we will use BigQuery, and just provide the data sets and table names that we have just created. All right, so next up, we're going to the Destinations tab. Here we can configure where this data is supposed to go. The destination name is just for reference in the spreadsheet, so give it a remarkable name. For type, for this purpose of the demonstration today, we're going to use customer match with contact info on Google Ads. So Antonio will choose the following selection. And now we have some parameters on the right-hand side that are called metadata. To get a reference of what these values are supposed to be, go over to the Help tab down below. Here you can see for all the uploaders which are the metadata that you need. For our demonstration today, we're going to need the audience name that's going to be created on Google Ads. That's metadata 1. For metadata 2, we will use add as we're inserting users in this audience list. We can also remove in this pipeline if you want to. For metadata 3, we're going to put it as true, which enables Megalista's PII hashing that is automatically done before uploading this data into Google services. All right, so finally, we'll go over to the Connect tab down below. Here, we will just select the source and the destinations by the names we have provided in the previous screens, and then enable it. All right, so this is all the configuration needed. If we wait until the next schedule of Cloud Scheduler, Megalista will run and we will upload this data. As we don't want to wait, we'll head over to Cloud Scheduler now and force a manual execution. Here you can see in the right-hand corner a Run Now button that you can click to do this execution. This screen doesn't have a lot of feedback on what's happening, so we'll head over to Dataflow to check the job. As you can see here, the job is already created and it's being primed for execution. Let's click on it and check more details. On this graph, you can see all the uploaders that Megalista has. They're going to be started and look for data in the spreadsheet if they need to be executed. Dataflow actually was built to uploading hundreds and hundreds of millions of rows. So it has a significant start time that's going to provision some machines to make the magic happen. This time doesn't change a lot, either if you're uploading 100 or millions of rows. It's usually something from 4 to 7 minutes. But after that, it's quite quick to do the uploading. As we don't want to wait this time now for this demonstration, we'll head over to another project where this execution is already completed, so we can check what happened. Here you can see that all steps completed successfully. And if anything went wrong, there is a logs setting down below that we can use to check if there was something. All right, so now with it completed, we can go over to our ads account to check the audience. Here, if you go over on the top right menu on Tools and Settings, then you can go to Audience Manager under Shared Library. Here we already did the filter, so the list that we created is just here. As soon as you finish uploading the list, it's going to show here and it's going to be populating for users. All right, so that's it for the demo. Now we will head back to the presentation and give you some more information.
Okay, so lastly, we brought some use cases of data integrations using Megalista that we have observed in this time, implementing the solution for clients. We are sure many of the other solutions that Janet had presented before are probably capable of doing part of this or any others that you might think, but that's what we have observed with Megalista. So as you can see, there are many possible use cases like uploading LTV segmentations, doing cross-sell, upsell for clients, creating audience lists for purchase predictions, etc. And one of the things that we'd like to highlight is the versatility of the solution. We have seen many use cases across all industries. Okay, so back to you, Janet.
Yes, thank you so much both for this, first of all, great demo and great insights. We continue to be even more curious and would like to interview you to learn a bit more about you and also your experience from working on this solution. So I'm actually going to ask you a few questions and going to start with the first one. How long have you been at Google and what's your role? Can you tell the audience a little bit more about yourselves and your day-to-day job?
Right,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, go ahead, Antonio, please.
Sorry. So I've been at Google for almost 2 years. I'm a customer solution engineer in Brazil, and my role is to create custom solutions that help our clients and partners with their problems and help them fulfill opportunities that they might have.
Yeah, and I have been at Google for 3.5 years now. And I'm also a customer solutions engineer, same as Antonio. And most of my customers come from the retail space. So lots of apparel sellers, marketplaces. So we do lots of shopping campaigns and things like that. I also help build custom integrations and solutions depending on each customer's needs.
Great, yeah, it's so good to have you both here with us and sharing your insights with our partners. So how long does it, so when talking about the solution itself, what are the most common questions that you see around implementing the Megalista automation solution?
We usually get lots of questions regarding the onboarding of data. Customers don't actually know that well where their data is, how to import data from Google Analytics or their CRM. So we have various questions on how to do that, and we usually help customers a lot. This is one thing that I believe the partners could really help with their expertise, our customers. And also regarding costs of Google Cloud for this solution and other automation solutions.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. I think one question that partners might also be interested in, how long did it take you to develop such a custom solution?
Yeah, for the first version, the first running usable version of Megalista, I think it took us something like 6 months, since it's we designed it to be very flexible, so it wasn't just a simple one-off integration, but we've been iterating over it, adding more capabilities, more integrations for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Great. So yeah, quite a long time, but also the result was great and will actually fulfill the needs of many use cases. Great.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So what resources do you think were of biggest help for you when developing this solution?
We have gone through a lot of the documentation on each of the APIs because we wanted to make sure that we used the best practices for each of them. So we read a lot of the examples and documentation of the APIs, and also from Apache Beam, which is our pipelining solution.
Great. So in terms of how you get started, that would be probably also the first main chunk of work to do, is going through the API documentations.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually started this project because of a request from a huge marketplace here in Latam. They wanted to activate new users for their websites, and they had data everywhere. They had a big website, they had an application, they had CRM with lots of data, and they wanted to do this campaign for new users on shopping, video, display. So they would need to do all the API integrations possible. And we started this project to help them with this process, because it was going to be very hard for them to do alone. And after that, we learned that most of our customers also had this kind of first-party data integration needs, and we started evolving on the solution to help these cases also.
Great. So yeah, we actually also have to thank the marketplace then for kind of pushing this and pushing us into developing this. And now that we have it accessible for even a broader range of partners and customers. Great. Yeah, is there any fun fact or story that you perhaps can share while working on this also with a customer or a partner?
Sure. There was a time where we went to a customer's office to present the solution to them. And there was someone from marketing who was super preoccupied with the infrastructure costs on Google Cloud. And he said, no, I'm going to have to negotiate with IT, and it's going to take months for this. How much is going to cost the solution? I need to do this budget provisioning for some time. And then we made the calculations, and for the specific use case, it was going to cost something like $5 a month. So he just took out his wallet, pulled out his credit card, and say, "Oh, bill me personally. I don't care. Let's do this right now." It was very fun.
Okay, that's a really good story to have, and it takes some of the I think reservation from everyone who is concerned about the cost as well. Okay, great, good insight. My final question, can you share just any tips on how the partners can make the most out of this solution?
Yeah, sure. I guess first of all, for the integration is defining the use case, so that determines what data is required and how the client can leverage the data. And once that's solved, then you can look for the most appropriate solution, being Megalista, being one of the other ones. And once you define the solution, I'd say you go get a good look to the documentation, get a look through the code, do some internal POC, and that's it. Just get to know the solutions and see if they are the most appropriate for your use case.
Awesome. Yes, so I can only second this. So of course, we always recommend everyone to really understand why a solution is needed and what data exactly should go where. For that, all of the before mentioned information should really help you. The decision tree, the table we have in terms of what data can be accessed and then flow from where to where. And then really go into the details of the deployment. Great. I think these are really good and useful tips, and we can't be grateful enough to the both of you for sharing all of the insights and also this great demo. Thank you so much. And with that, I really just want to encourage all of our partners to go ahead and look at those solutions, implement, try them out, test them out. And we look forward to hearing your questions. There is a live Q&A section right now, so We don't really see many questions coming in yet, so you still have a few seconds. We'll wait, put your questions in. And in the meantime, let me think if I can come up with some.
I think we already have one question from Tobias. Tobias is asking, how can support for any of the tools be requested? I, for example, have a problem accessing CRM Mint since a month ago. Wrote an issue on GitHub, but there's no one taking care of it, and I have no idea who or how to reach out to. Thanks for your question, Tobias. So for Megalista, we are looking into the issues on GitHub frequently to check what's happening. We already have some collaborators there on GitHub that can also help with questions. But you can also reach out for the Google sales teams that take care of your account to make sure that they will reach out to their teams. We will make sure after this meeting to talk to the CRM Mint team and let them know that you need a response on GitHub. So thanks for your question.
And while we give the audience a few more seconds to put in other questions, maybe one that I heard. So when trying to use Terraform to deploy the code on a client's laptop, there was a lot of permission issues. So do you have maybe any tips that could help here and circumvent the permission issues?
Okay, thanks, Janet. So yeah, Terraform can be a little tricky to install locally, especially if there's a team that doesn't have a lot of technical expertise. And we actually chose this tool because in that Cloud Shell environment that Antonio demoed for us today, when you provision that VM, it's already fully installed with all the required permissions necessary, with all setup done. So you don't have to worry a lot about that. You can just execute the command that it's there on the script, and it's going to work. So our idea when we decided to use Terraform is that using Cloud Shell, customers wouldn't have any issue.
Great. Okay. Yeah. So using Cloud Shell is the solution to that one. If you find yourself having permission issues, then remember Cloud Shell. Okay, great. I think someone is still typing a question, so maybe we see another coming in. In the meantime, let me think if I can think of one more question. Yeah, so when Dataflow starts a job, so that's all while implementing Megalista, right? So when Dataflow starts a job, it creates a virtual machine, and by default, this has a public IP. Is there any considerations, anything that's worth noting here for the audience to know?
Yeah, for some organizations, having a public IP for the machine is blocked by organization policy. But we can actually deploy an Cloud NAT that is going to create a private VPN, which can be used for the networking in this machine. And if you have such kinds of restrictions in your organization, you will see some errors in these regards, but you can talk with your cloud partner to create this networking infrastructure to help you with that.
Great, okay. And I see now questions coming in through our question sheet. Let me read it, and I'm probably going to need your help, Alvaro and Antonio answering it. Andre asks, will there be live demos for the other tools as well? Tentacles, Tagless CRM, CRM Mint to be scheduled? That's a good question. If there is actually demand, and I take this, there is demand, we can certainly look into this and plan for a future session to also go into deep dive. Now, what I can say is that we have had Tentacles deep dive and CRM Mint deep dives in some local market roadshows, so to say. So depending on which market you are in, you probably already have workshops with your partner engagement managers potentially. But if not, shoot us an email, give us the feedback that you also want a deep dive on the other tools, and we're happy to organize it. Then there's another question Jonathan asks. In terms of pushing PII data, such as emails to audiences, how often does it push? Theoretically, it needs to be real-time to deal with consent data regulation. And is this possible?
Okay, so as we deploy Megalista right now, we usually do it on batch mode, so it executes daily. You can change on Cloud Scheduler for it to run more than daily if you want. That's a thing that you can do. But also Apache Beam has streaming enabled. So you could actually leave a VM running 24/7, and it would handle new events as they came from a pub subtopic. We usually don't do a lot of that deployment for our customers because it's much more expensive than the batching mode, but it's totally possible to do. I think Antonio was going to compliment me.
Yeah, to use Megalista in streaming mode, it probably required some small code changes, since it is re-prepared for batch mode, but totally doable.
Awesome, great. So thank you, Jonathan, for the good question. And there's another one. So I'm really excited to see so many questions coming in. So keep them coming. Tasman is asking, is the best practice to push the audiences to GA and from there to other GMP tools like DV360 and Search Ads 360?
Okay, so what we have learned using Megalista is that actually the most effective way of handling audiences is to use as much information as you can from your users, because that increases the match rate for your lists, right? So if you're going to get audiences into GA, you probably are going to use a cookie-based gclead option, and that gives you very good results. But if you can combine it with PII information such as emails or mobile device IDs, then if you have a much higher match rate. So what we usually do with Megalista for the V360, for instance, we are going to create a state-based audience on GA with the cookies, and then we're going to create some customer match audiences on Google Ads. Then we're going to share both of these lists with V360 and then combine them there so we have the highest match rate. So the trick here is to combine as much data as you have. And this is actually one of the most used Megalista use cases for customers that have data within very different formats and they want to create single lists that encompass all those segments, right? So we would recommend you looking into making combined audiences with information that you have.
Great. Thanks, Alvaro, for answering, and Tasman for the really good question as well. We have yet another one. Simon is asking, we are looking to upload offline in-store transactions to Google Analytics, but we are struggling to make the link between the transactions and the client ID used as a key for GA upload. How do you tackle this?
I think it actually depends. You want to answer this one, Antonio? Go ahead.
Yeah, I can complement it if you want. Yeah, I guess an alternative, if you don't make this link between GA and the client ID, is to look at Google Ads Store Sales Upload. It's a feature designed to attend exactly the use case for in-store transactions. Over.
Yeah, you can. I believe if you also use the GA export for BigQuery, it may be easy to check this data there, but you may need to change something in your tagging to actually capture this ID better. But I think the export will be sufficient for you to do this.
Yeah, with export, you could try to join some custom dimension with some data you're collecting in store, so you can retrieve the client ID of this user, and then make the upload.
Great. So, yeah, try this, Simon, and let us know how it goes. I don't see any more questions right now. I see people typing. Maybe I give them another 10 more seconds, and in the meantime, I'm going to ask another question that I came across. So when implementing Megalista, once the job runs and fetches the data from BigQuery, there sometimes could also be an error coming from Campaign Manager saying caller does not have permission. How would you, do you have any ideas how to overcome this?
Sure, we have actually seen this before sometimes. It's actually something on the campaign manager side that I think confuses people a little. For campaign manager, the admin role for a user profile doesn't actually have any permission to use the APIs. It's mostly for UI administration, creating new campaigns and new trafficking settings. So by default, Campaign Manager doesn't provide API access for someone in the admin role. There is another role that I don't remember specifically the name of it now, that it's more of an API user that can be used. Or you could actually edit your admin profile so it would have these permissions.
Okay, so the answer would be here, be really careful with the permissions and the user role and make sure there's the API access in the role. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm trying to see through our question sheet. There were no more questions coming in. Yeah, I think that's it. This was great. Thank you so much, Alvaro and Antonio, for joining and also giving us all this great knowledge at hand here. We are about to close this session, so if there are really no more questions coming in, then I'm just going to repeat what we've talked today about. So we've gone over an introduction of first-party data automation solutions, Tentacles, Tagless CRM, Megalista, and CRM Mint, and the differences and when to apply which one. We have done a deep dive on implementing the solution, Megalista, and we've heard from our excellent experts, Alvaro and Antonio, of how to best do this and work on such a solution. So I hope this was helpful and useful. Please fill in the feedback survey on the screen, and we really appreciate any feedback you have. Also, let us know any questions that you should come across when implementing. With that, I would say happy automating. Have a great Thursday and goodbye.
Thanks, Janet. Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.